All right, here we go. Welcome back to Golf Subpar. Colt Knost and Drew Stoltz. Obviously, not in the same location at the moment. Sleaze is up at the Four-Ball in New Jersey. We're going to get to that in a second. But as always, Subpar is brought to you by Fanatics Sportsbook. When I bet, I like getting something back, even if I lose. That's why I bet with Fanatics Sportsbook. When I place a bet with them, I earn fan cash, win or lose. I can flip fan cash into bonus bets or use it for new team apparel on Fanatics.com. Also, if you're a new customer, you'll get $200 in bonus bets when you sign up and bet $20 or more. Use code SUBPAR to claim it. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut residents call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts residents call 800-327-5050. New York residents call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland residents visit mdgamblinghelp.org. All right, let's get this party started here, Sleaze. The 107th PGA Championship is in the books, and Scottie Scheffler picks up his third major title. He won by 5. If you didn't watch, you just looked at the leaderboard, you're like, oh, that had to be boring. What a blowout it was, but it sure wasn't, man. He made it exciting there for a while on Sunday.
Yeah, and props to Jon Rahm. Let's give him some credit for showing up and making that thing interesting. I mean, going into the final round, I think everybody in the golf world was like, well, if you look at the names that were the closest to him, like, realistically speaking, they're probably not going to make a run. They're probably not going to challenge him. And then all of a sudden you pop up around the turn and all of a sudden Jon Rahm's tied. And there was a moment in time, Colt, where I was like, he's going to steal this thing. Like, he's the guy playing the best golf right now. He was hitting good shots. Honestly, I think just 13, 14, 15 on Sunday for Jon Rahm. The putt on 13 that looked like it was going in. The fairway wood off the tee on 14 that hit in the one spot on like the downslope that kicks it right as opposed to left with that little baby draw. And then the 4-iron into 15 that was perfect that went over and he didn't convert it for birdie. That right there was kind of, he needed those. If you're going to beat a guy like Scottie, I think he let a couple get away at least there. But props to him for showing up and doing it. But, I mean, dude, Scottie's just, he's just so much better. He's so much better than everyone, dude. I mean, it takes him messing up for people to have a chance.
Yeah, I walked with Scottie on Saturday. I can't tell you how hard it was playing. I mean, we're talking wind gusts, 25 miles an hour. Greens were rock hard. You saw so many. I thought there was a great picture from scoring after Saturday when Scottie shoots 65, Siwoo shoots even, and Max shot 76. And Siwoo and Max are sitting at the scorer's table and just look like they got their ass whipped for the last 5.5 hours, where Scottie, just cool as could be, cruises through there, 5 under his last 5 on Saturday to shoot 65. I mean, the tweets I get, Sleaze, I'm following the guy. They're like, you blow Scottie so hard. You're a Scottie homer. You're so biased. I'm like, what was I supposed to say? Was I not supposed to say how great this is out there? I mean, he just shot 65 in the third round of a major in extremely difficult conditions.
Also, hasn't he won his last 2 starts? What's he won by 13 now?
Just 13.
Yeah, 13 in his last 2. He played 500 his last 5. The Green Mile, supposedly one of the toughest closing stretches in golf. Like, it gets hard when Scottie keeps winning to come on like different shows, whether it's radio or here, and say new things about Scottie. Like, what more is there to say? Like, he's better than everyone. He drives it beautifully. He's not the longest in the world, but he's pretty damn close to the top and best drivers in the world. His iron play is not even close. There's no one even close to him. Even his bad shots, they seem to land pin high. I mean, if you go back, he didn't even play well in round 1, and the mud ball cost him 2 on 16. I don't think that's a shot that he hits without some mud on the ball. Like, it could have been worse than it was, but he got off to a slow start and he still wins in a landslide. Like, it's coming up. It's hard coming up with new stuff to say about the guy. He's just that good. And I thought he putted it really, really well when he needed to.
Man, he's putting it nice right now. He missed a couple short ones here and there, but Quail Hollow with those greens that break so much, that stuff happens. But man, it was so special to watch. Like you said, I mean, you're talking maybe B minus game the first couple of days, and he's just sitting right there. ESPN did a cool piece. It was called Lurking. I mean, Scottie's just lurking right there around the lead. And then all of a sudden, I was walking with the group, and when we were on about the 12th hole on Saturday, it was like Scottie, Bryson, Braun. There was like 5 guys tied for the lead. Another 5 won back. I'm like, this is going to be ridiculous on Sunday. This is going to be all time. And then we get to 14. Eagle, bird, par, bird. I mean, it was nuts. To do what he did to the Green Mile was so special. But I mean, he obviously took care of the hard stretch very well. But the biggest difference when you go back and look at it is That 13 and 14 stretch, or sorry, 14 and 15, the drivable par four and the par five, where he was 9 under for the week. I believe Bryson was 5 under, and I think Rahm was 3 under. And that's a big difference on two holes that are very gettable.
Yeah, and I'll go back to day one. Like, we spent all week on radio being like, this golf course, especially being wet, I think there's like 10 guys that can win this thing, and I think that's truly it. Like, I think you'll see some guys you might not expect in the top 10, top 15, but in terms of winners, here's your guys. And we went through them the whole week. And then day one, Thursday ended. I looked at the leaderboard and I was like,
oh my God,
there ain't one dude on here that we said was one of the 10. You know what I mean? And then by the end, though, you saw like cream rises to the top at the end. You got Bryson, you got Rahm, you got Scottie. Like, it started to turn into like the leaderboard that we wanted. But yeah, at the beginning, I was like, well, put a fork in that one. That was the shittiest take of all time. But it worked out like that. And I think there's other people like Scottie. You know, we've said all the things about him. Props to Bryson again for that. That's 5 out of 6 majors where he's been a factor on Sunday coming down the stretch. It was great to see Jon Rahm play well, and let's forget all the bullshit about, oh, he went to live, he doesn't care, and his game's gone. Like, you could see it. Also, huge props to him, Colt, too, for, like, he had a brutal finish, and that thing was right there for the taking. Like, we went through 13, 14, 15. He got up there and talked to the media the whole time, talked about how much fun he had playing golf, and it wasn't the end that he wanted, but, like, that's not easy. There's another guy in the field that opted out of all 4 days, by the way, and just a guy coming off the last major championship too. I thought that was completely Bush League by Rory, by the way, for being. If we're
I get called biased. I feel like you're kind of biased. You're pulling rather hard for Jon Rahm here right now.
I'm just giving him credit. What do you mean I'm pulling for him? Like, I just saying congrats to him for playing good. There's a lot of hate about him. You know, oh, he doesn't care anymore. He's lost his game. He went to live, and then he had a brutal finish. Like, he didn't finish the way he wanted to. Had a chance to win that thing, but he got up there and talked about it. Like, I think you got to tip your cap to him. Like that. There's other guys not doing it. You know, I mean, Rory all 4 days coming off a Masters, no media. What was your take on Rory just bypassing the whole week?
Yeah, I didn't really understand it. Obviously, he did his press conference and everything, but once it got leaked that the driver failed and was non-conforming, which, by the way, we can address this right now, okay? People need to relax about this. This is not a big deal. This stuff happens all the time, okay? I reached out to the PGA Tour to figure out exactly how often the testing happens. I'm getting word it's 8 to 10 times a year, plus all 4 majors. Not every player in the field gets it tested. It's random, about a third of the field. This past week at the PGA Championship, it was 50. Okay, the names were not supposed to get out. Somehow they did. Okay, Rory McIlroy was on that list, and all hell broke loose. Okay, the drivers are built to go as far as possible. Okay, within the legal limit. That's what they're built for. Over time, for people that don't know, the more you hit it, the harder you hit it, the thinner the face gets, and the spring effect increases. Okay, so all these guys, most guys can't play a driver for more than a year. Bryson travels with like 8 drivers because he cracks them so often because of the speed. These things wear down over time. The more you hit it, the thinner the face gets, and the spring effect gets more. You're not going to go out there. You're not going to test your driver every single week. Rory's driver could have been conforming on Monday and failed on Tuesday. This does not mean his driver was non-conforming at the Masters. It was perfectly fine. This is a nothing. Should he have addressed it? Absolutely. Someone on his team should have put out a statement and been like, this is the deal. Found out it failed. Got a new one. Put it in play. Everybody's like, this is why he drove it like shit. He played bad at Quail Hollow. Well, he used the one that was now non-conforming. Last week at Philly, he drove it horrible as well. Okay? It is not a big deal. Rory McIlroy did not cheat. Okay? This shit happens. I gave this example on radio today, Sleaze, because come to find out, also Scottie Scheffler's driver failed, and he had to put a new one in play this week. I'll just give you Byron Nelson. Taylor Montgomery's driver failed. He had to put a new one in. You think anybody gave a shit? No.
It happens all the time. It's just
these, like I said, all the time. It's not a big deal. It's not. These guys aren't cheating. They're not using illegal drivers. I mean, I don't know how often you check your numbers and stuff like that, but you'll notice over time when the driver gets a little older, you might notice your ball speed's a mile or 2 miles an hour faster. It's just because it's getting to that limit.
Yeah, the closer you get to the limit, like the last drive you hit before it's non-conforming is the fastest it can be. It happens all the time. It doesn't get as much attention, obviously, because it's not Rory McIlroy. I thought the driver being non-conforming was like, I mean, you and I know, like, it's a non-issue. Like, this happens regularly. Guys get tested, it's non-conforming, boom, you switch it out, and you go to a different one. You get tested later on down the road. His team, himself, he could have put out a tweet, anything like that. That's a nothing addressing, but just skipping the media altogether, all 4 rounds, when it's like, all right, you skipped after Thursday of the Masters when your ending didn't go the way you wanted. Then you start playing good again, and now you're super available and doing all the media. Then you come into this week as the defending, as the most recent major champion, biggest favorite here. Don't play to your liking, skip the media. It just feels like, I don't know, like from a guy that a year ago, Colt, at Pebble Beach, Jason Sobel put out this tweet, like, got in the front of the media, was like, we need to hold players more accountable, especially the superstars. Like, you got to address the media. You got to speak. Like, I was just at F1 and they do this even when they lose. And like, especially the superstars, we got to hold these guys more accountable. And then 4 days, I just thought it was a bad look. It makes you look like a front runner, in my opinion. Like, I'll talk to you as when I'm winning stuff and everything's great. But as soon as things don't go my way, I'll just, never mind. I don't have any time for you guys.
I don't disagree with you, but just for the form of an argument, I'm going to throw this out there because, this all is supposed to be kept confidential. Okay. When your driver fails or whatever, or who's even tested. And so I'm sure it bothered him because his wasn't the only one that failed this past week at the PGA Championship. I'm sure part of him is saying, this is bullshit. Why is my name the one that got leaked out there? Why not put everyone's name out there that failed? That's unfair to me. Like, here I am, the superstar, the one who just won the career Grand Slam. You're throwing my name out there, and now it's making me look bad. Fuck y'all. I'm not talking to y'all.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you whatsoever. The fact that his name came out and his was the only name that came out, like, it shouldn't happen. That's probably the price of being a superstar. But my point being, like, take the driver thing away from it. You get up there, you address it, be like, yeah, it's non-conforming. I switched it out. It happens all the time. I hit the ball pretty hard. I don't know if you guys noticed, like, these things happen. And then you talk, it's put to bed, like, it's over. And then Thursday you talk about your round. Friday you talk about your round. But to go the entire week and not speak on anything when he's like the marquee guy right now, especially, like I said, after Thursday of Masters not doing it, but then doing it the rest of the week, and him calling out other players just a year ago saying, we got to do this more, we got to be more accountable. It's like, dude, make up your mind. Like, which one is it? Like, hold yourself to their own standards. So I thought that was Busch League. But the driver thing, to me, I mean, I think to everyone, more or less, that's a zero burger in my mind.
It should be. Social media needs to let that one die. The other thing was obviously a big topic of conversation was playing the ball down on Thursday. I was there all week, right around 5 inches of rain going back 4 or 5 days before. I'll be honest, when on Tuesday and Wednesday when I was out on the golf course, if that would have been a normal PGA Tour event, in my opinion, they would not have been allowed on the golf course. That's how wet it was. It was soaked. It was sloppy. I mean, it was going to be hard to find a place to drop a ball from casual water. Now, it did dry up pretty good Wednesday night, but with all that rain, they put out a statement Wednesday night, which I thought was a horrible decision, saying, we are planning on playing the ball down tomorrow. Which I don't even think you need to put that out there. You wait until Thursday morning to make that decision. But my deal was, and this is what I told some people at the PGA of America, it's one day, okay? You just got 5 inches of rain. The talk of this tournament right now is the weather and how soaked it is. Play it up one day. That way you don't have any issues where you get a bunch of players catching mud balls. Then afterwards, they're pissed off. They're obviously going to get asked about it, especially when it's Scottie and Xander, two of the biggest names in the game, that get mud balls, and they hook left into the water there on 16 and make double bogey. They're going to get asked about it. They're not going to be happy about it. I just did not think it was worth the risk to play the ball down. Now, I get it. They don't play the ball up for mud balls. But I'm sorry. That some of the old school guys, I know Brandel said it, Johnson Wagner, it's part of the game. It's not, in my opinion. Occasionally here and there, but when you get so many players in the field catching mud balls, like Frank Noblo and I talked about this. If that was on Sunday, coming down the stretch, and Scottie catches a mud ball on 16, or somebody leading the golf tournament catches them, like, this would have been a disaster. The fact that it was Thursday and there was plenty of time, whatever. But I just didn't think it was worth it to go out there and play the ball down when you know there could be some really bad situations with mud balls.
Yeah, I'll echo what you said, and I didn't hear the Brandel and the Johnson Wagner, but, like, in my opinion, you never want the conditions to be the story. And it's super avoidable. And you also don't want, like, Thursday morning could be totally different in terms of the mud balls than Thursday afternoon, right? It could dry out, and by the afternoon it's great, but the morning guys were dealing with balls going all over the place. I just think it's such an easy fix. Just say, hey, we're playing it up today. And by the way, then it goes away. No one ever talks about it after that. Like, hey, they're playing the ball up, and then you go to Friday, and everything's back to normal again. And you avoid the Scottie Schefflers of the world, the biggest names in golf, going into the media center and be like, we should have played it up. I caught a mud ball on 16. That's the only reason it went over. You don't want that to become the story. You work so hard for these events. It's such an easy fix. And also, I don't think you want like luck factoring into the equation. Like, you want the best guys to win. You play it up. Does anyone want to play it up? No, we all want to play it down. Like, there's always a little asterisk, when you see course records or things like that, like they played it up, but it's better than having it be the story, being like, oh, there's balls going everywhere. I honestly thought it held up a lot better than I thought it would after like Tuesday. The amount of rounds, like, dude, it's gonna be a mess. And I thought they would play it up, and then they said they wouldn't even the day before. But I'm with you. I think if you're ever in doubt or you're ever on the fence, it's just easier to put the ball in the hand and then put it to bed. It'll go away the next day and everything's fine.
Yeah, and one of the responses I got from Johnson Wagner is, it's a major championship. I'm like, so we, change how we would play the golf course if it's a major championship or a regular event. Now, I do agree with him. They've gotten rather soft on the PGA Tour. Like, if it rains at all, it's like, oh, we're going to play it up. You never want to, like you said. Brandel, I know Lanny Watkins chimed in and said, hitting a mud ball is a skill and all this. And I get it. Like, yeah, you know what? You can go out there and you can try to they've done studies to where, yeah, if it's on the right side, it does go left. If it's on the left, it goes a little right. But you don't know how much. Like Scottie shot on 16. What's he supposed to do? Aim on 17 tee and just punch one down there? Like, people are like, oh, he didn't hit the right shot off the tee. He should have flighted it down lower because the ball's picking up mud. I'm like, he hit it 322 down the center of the fairway on a 530-yard par 4. How the hell did he not hit the right shot? Like, there's so much luck involved with mud, right? Because Xander was right next to him. His ball could have been clean, and Scotty's could have been covered in mud. Are we just putting that much luck into the game? Like, they both hit a great shot. One's fucked and one's not. I don't think that's how it should be. That's my opinion. Me and Johnson went back and forth at it pretty good. He actually wants to come on Gravy in the Sleeves this week and hash this one out. So we'll see what happens with that.
You're getting in a little mud ball heated argument here. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a thing. You just play it up one day, boom, it's done. No one's complaining about anything. You hit it in the fairway, you should get rewarded. You hit it in the rough, you don't get to put the ball in your hand. It's over. And then you don't have Scottie Scheffler going in the media center saying, I think we should have played it down or should have played it up today. Like, yeah, I don't know. I thought that got a lot more attention than it's something that's easily fixable. But end of the day, the best dude won, and he won by 1 million again.
Yeah, 3 majors down, a lot more to go. The guy's unbelievable. Even when he doesn't have his best stuff, he finishes in the top 10. That's what separates him. I mean, to make that adjustment after being 2 over through 9 holes, go to the 10th tee, hit a seed off the 10th, hit a seed off the 11th, and it was game over right there. Didn't miss a shot the rest of the way that mattered. Obviously played away from the water on 17 and 18, but congratulations to him. And also, congratulations to Randy Smith. This one meant so much to him. Scotty's longtime coach, member of the PGA of America. No one's won more awards from the PGA of America than Randy Smith. This one has a very special meaning to him. I mean, he got emotional at Quail Hollow. He was on our SiriusXM show today. Got emotional again. I mean, he's one of the best in the business. Obviously, I'm very biased about that, but the work him and Scotty have done has just been awesome. And I'm so happy for Randy and the whole team over there.
Yeah, it was a cool moment on 18 Green when he was like talking about Randy being family, and Randy had the shades on, but you could tell like that was hitting him. That's a cool moment. That's 3 of them down for him. They're going to get a bunch more. I don't know what Randy does anymore, if I'm being honest. I'm like, hey, can you meet me tomorrow on the range? Yeah, hey, this is Scottie Scheffler. Sure. And you watch him hit a few and be like, yep, that's pretty much perfect, bud. Just keep doing that. They got it figured out, and props to him. There's not a better guy in the game, and you and I talk about it occasionally, but it's like, man, if I'm another guy on the PGA Tour and I'm looking for something, like, why wouldn't you call the guy that's helped? Yeah. I'm not saying it's all Randy. Scotty's a generational talent, but like, he ain't nothing, won by accident. So he used them for a reason.
He knows what he's doing. There's no doubt. He's old school. I love him to death. He told an awesome story today too, Sleaze, how he was, this was many years ago, but he was at some PGA of America function, and I guess they were there, and they came over and they're like, hey, the Wanamaker trophy is here. Like, you want to do pictures, want to whatever, look at it, all this. He's like, no, I don't want to go near it. He treated it like the Stanley Cup. He's like, nope, I don't want to go near it. I don't want to touch it. He goes, hopefully, the plan is one day, one of my students, he had Justin Leonard, who finished runner up twice in this event. One of my students is going to win this, and I'm going to hug it and not let it go. So that's another reason. That's just such a cool story that, he was all, like I said, treated it like the Stanley Cup. And then I know last night, probably on the plane ride home, it was in his lap, and he wasn't letting go.
Yeah, that one hits different for the PGA pros. Like, JT winning this thing a couple times, his pop being one. It's a little extra special for those guys. Not that the green jacket is terrible, by the way. We're being
No.
honest. But when you're a PGA pro, that one's kind of your baby.
Yeah, congrats to them. Really, really happy for them. And if you're serious about your game or just want to keep it fair out there, the USGA's Gen app, presented by Century Insurance, has you covered. Post your rounds and gain valuable insights into your performance. Track your handicap index over time and use it to compete on an even playing field no matter where you play or who you're teeing it up with. Gen is the trusted app for golfers who want to get the most out of their game. Download the Gen app today. A lot of my friends could listen to that right there. Keep it fair, guys. All you guys that I'm out there giving three aside to that I shouldn't be.
Keep it fair. That's what it's all about. That's what it's there
Keep
for.
it fair.
Don't abuse it.
All right. Well, speaking of the USGA sleaze, you're up at the USGA Four-Ball right now. Plainfield Country Club made it to match play. You and the kitty once again. I believe this is 4 years in a row making it to match play. But because we're filming this right now and you can see the sun is still out, I feel like things didn't go the way we wanted.
Yeah, I am at the Four-Ball, but I'm no longer at the Four-Ball. We went down today. What did we finish? We finished T10 in the stroke play portion. Nice seed. Got out there 10:15 this morning. Played a couple college kids from Ball State. And dude, this golf course. Let me just first speak on Plainfield. I'd never been here before. I got a text from Chris Goddard earlier in the week. He's like, dude, Four-Ball's there this week. It's in my top 5 all time. He's like, you're going to love this place. I was like, I can't wait to see it. I've seen pictures. I'm not joking. I know it's not the U.S. Open. The rough is borderline hack out. If you can get more than a 9-iron on it, you're lucky. And sometimes you can't even get like sand wedges and stuff. The wind was blowing 20 plus the entire time we were out there. It was such a fun, good test of golf. Not overly long, but I mean holes that are 450 if they're into the wind, they're playing 500, and like you weren't hitting a whole lot of wedges out there. The greens are super old school, crazy slope. Props to Plainfield because they got a really, really cool place. But we go into match play today. Just sloppy. Like these ones, I feel like we end up losing one up. Props to them. They had a guy that final hole, par 4 into the wind, hit a wedge or 9 or something to about 3 feet right above the hole. Damn near made it. We had looks at birdie, didn't get it, and he makes it. And we were all square up to that point. But man, when you make bogeys, we made like 3 bogeys today in best ball, and like the previous 3 years, I don't know if we've made 3 total. You know what I mean? Like we just started, we bogey off the jump, both of us, which was brutal. Fought our way back, squared it up on 17. I might have hit one of my better shots I've ever had, a 4-iron in from like 203 or something, but dead into the fan. Caught a piece of the hole and just sat there. So we squared it up going into 18, but they put us to bed. And honestly, dude, feels a lot like last year. Just like a play kind of shitty in the first round. You need like the one match where you don't play well, it like from going through the AM and stuff. Like you're not always going to play good, but you just need to advance from the one where you don't quite have it. And we gave ourselves a chance today, but same as last year, dude. Early exit on a match that was pretty sloppy. So shitty, but fun to be up here, fun to play match play. Shout out to Mike Wan. He was out there in the house. He's close by to here, came out and watched a little bit, and all the USGA and Plainfield, dude. It's you played up here in the Barclays, didn't you, back in the day?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
back in the day, very good golf course.
Yeah, it was really fun. They routed it a little different. I think it's actually probably the same you guys play the Barclays, but man, it's fun. Like I was talking to some of the guys, like it'd be cool to see the tour guys play out here. Like we always talk about, grow up some rough, make the greens firm and bouncy. And then granted, we did have the 20+ mile an hour winds too. But I was like, this would be fun to see what happens out here. I mean, you missed the fairway, like you're not hitting the green, really. I mean, it's just not happening.
Yeah, well, it was fun to follow along. A lot of the guys at the PGA Championship were asking how it was going, and we were giving updates on the radio today. But good fight. There's always next year. Keep on coming back. I
No.
did hear though from my man, Little Jimmy, aka Andrew Catalan, who lives just down the road there. He's from New Jersey. We were at the airport last night, and he's like, "Dude, it's supposed to be like high of 50 on Wednesday and blowing." I was like, "The sleeves isn't really built for that." He wears long johns when it's 70, so maybe a good thing you didn't have to go out there and freeze your ass off on Wednesday.
Dude, it blew a million. Yeah, it blew a million both days that we played the stroke play. It blew a million today. I don't know what it's supposed to be tomorrow, and then Wednesday it's supposed to be freezing and raining. So yeah,
Nope,
Wednesday. And that's
nope.
36 whole days, by the way. If you make it, after today, it's
Oof.
36. That's going to be a monster um, out there on Wednesday. I wish it was like I wish you could get some like live feed or something like that. It's a fun golf course to watch. But yeah, that's the you know glass half full look at it. I don't got to go out there and play in freezing rain and wind on Wednesday and probably shoot a million. If it does that, the score. I mean, pars are going to win so many holes.
All right, Sleeves, like I said, best luck next year to you and Kitty up at the Four-Ball. Now time to make some money. I don't think our bets went too well at the PGA Championship. My man Mackenzie Hughes was not, in fact, low Canadian. Tragic display for the Quail Hollow member. But anyway, it's on to the next week, the Charles Schwab Challenge at the place that Sleazy built, Colonial Country Club. Cannot wait to see your statue right there next to Hogan's. I'm going to be there all week for Golf Channel and CBS. But let's get to some picks with our friends over at the Fanatic Sportsbook. If you want to follow along, make sure you go download the app, join in on all the fun. We're going to have season-long standings and some fun to give away at the end. But like I said, Colonial, no one knows it better than the Sleaze. They have redone it in the last couple of years. Last year was the first year they played the new golf course. Second year, I expect this place to be settled a little more, and I expect them to go really low. It's going to be hot. I don't think the greens are going to be too firm. We got a pretty good field. Scottie Scheffler, if you want to go out on a limb and take him, he's 2.5 to 1 favorite. I believe next best is Daniel Berger at like 22 to 1. So massive favorite for Scotty. And for me, I've been a little cold the last few weeks, so it's time to flip this thing around. I'm going to go with the top 20 bet. It pays just plus 120, but like I said, I want to make myself and the people out there some money with our friends at Fanatics. Give me Daniel Berger to top 20. The man has been playing great. Working with Mark Blackburn, his game is in really good shape. He loves this place. He's won here before. Why not again? Come on, Boog. Top 20 plus 120.
Bug night, I would love that. I would love that. I've been on record. I really hope he plays some good golf for the remainder of the year. I would love to see him at Bethpage. I want him on the team. And I don't think it's far-fetched to think he can go do it. This will be a hell of a week for him. Good pick there. I'm going to go another top 22. I was riding hot for a while. Now we're on a little lull. Time to get back hot. How about a guy who just finished top 5 at the PGA Championship, which is big yard. And when I think of this guy, like I don't necessarily think that suits him. He can play him, of course, but I'd prefer a place like this week where it's more about accuracy off the tee and great putting. I'll take JT Poston, top 20, plus 190 on that, which I feel very good about this. I don't want to jinx anything, but this one, when I saw plus 1, I was expecting more like plus 140 or something, but coming off good form, obviously, I love that bet.
Man, he played great. Actually, bogeyed the last hole, cost him quite a bit. A lot of people bogeyed the last hole there, but awesome to see him and Fleener up there near the top of the leaderboard making a charge. You just got to make sure Fleener's, not singing at Billy Bob's all night long, and he's out there able to do his job and caddy. But James Tyree Poston, come on down, top 20 for plus 190. And those are going to be our bets this week with Fanatic Sportsbook. Well, like I said, hell of a run. Get back home safe. Look forward to following you all along again next year. But it's time to get zoned in with our friends over at Zone Nicotine. And no one was more zoned in than you, myself, and Kyle Busch out in the sand rails a few months ago, riding around in the Polaris mobiles, going up and down hills in the sand. It was absolutely insane. And the full video is out now. Check it out on golf.com. It's something special, Sleeves. We went for a hell of a ride.
I don't know if you'd call me zoned in, or maybe I was a little too zoned in with the deal, which we talk about in this. But yeah, that was a hell of a run. I didn't even know this place. This place we went, like, what was that, an hour and a half or so outside of Vegas ish? I think they film a lot of
8.
What was it? Oh yeah,
it felt like about 8 hours outside.
Yeah, it was quite the trek after the night before, but I didn't even know that place existed. I think they film a bunch of like commercials and movies and stuff like that. Place was sick, but then yeah. Getting in there with Kyle Busch for the first time. Good way to make your debut on the Polaris.
Yeah. Well, go check out the video. It is awesome. Our team, their team over at Zone did an incredible job with it. It is really cool. The ultimate sand trap. But we had ourselves a hell of a time. And stay tuned for the end. Nice little surprise there at the
Hey,
end that everybody will
I'll say this
enjoy.
about you. You hit some very good shots out of the sand with no warm up. Hands maybe not the most stable that they've ever been, nor were the footwork, the footing. Also, when they said like, "All right, one of y'all's got to hit one," I was like, "All right, go get them, bud." And you actually hit some.
I don't,
You hit a couple seeds actually.
I don't know what was harder, like hitting it and standing in the sand, or teeing the ball up when your hand's shaking like hell from a night in Vegas.
We had a few takes. We had a few takes when it got to like the intricate hand movements. But props to you. Some nice seeds given the circumstances.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Once again, go check that video out over on our pages or the golf.com page. And by the way, our guest this week is Kyle Busch. We get into some NASCAR stuff, which you and I don't know shit about, but he is an awesome dude, a great personality. Here he is on Golf Subpar.
All right, we got one of the best NASCAR drivers in the world with us here today. Currently ninth in the all-time NASCAR Cup Series wins and first in overall wins across the top 3 divisions. Also, one time made me puke. Kyle Busch in the house. How we doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Good accolades there. I love the last one.
That's good to put on the resume. Yeah, keep that.
He looks a little better than he did last time, I would say.
Yeah. He looks all right. At least he's sitting down in a seated state, in a stationary state, and not moving at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, that was a blast, though. I got to thank you for that. I mean, I had no idea what to expect going out there, but that's something you grew up on, right? Driving through those sand dunes?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I didn't really do a whole lot of that when I was a kid growing up, but once I, made my first buck and had a little extra change to kind of put on some sand rails, I went ahead and did that, and we had some fun out there for a few winters. It's always good to go out there, just kind of let loose, have fun, and ride around in some sand cars and things. And so, that was not my first rodeo.
It was my first rodeo, as you can see. I am curious what happened to the video. You were nice enough when it all actually finally went down. Thank God that it did, because I was dying. You got a video of it. Do you still have that? And where is that thing lurking?
Yeah, the video of you?
Yeah, yakking.
Yeah. No, I got it. That's for sure. I'm not going to let loose of that. So it's in the favorite section of my my library for sure.
Perfect.
I love that.
Perfect.
Yeah, hold on to that thing. If he ever becomes famous, we might have to release that one.
Yeah, I'll send it back over to you.
Yeah,
should be safe.
I want to know, how did you get into racing? Like, what age do you start? Because obviously most of us don't really start driving cars until 16 or so, but it was a little different
it's
story.
a little bit different when you get into racing. I mean, for me, I was 13 when I started, and so you were supposed to be 14. So I may or may not have allegedly forged my birth certificate to make myself 13. So
Nice.
or make myself 14 at 13, so I could get in a car and race Legends cars in Las Vegas. So I grew up, born and raised in Vegas, and that's where I started and got my kickstart there at the Bull Ring in Vegas. And then, from there, I moved on into some modified cars, some late models. And then I was only 3 years in, and then I was able to go run my first Truck Series race for NASCAR, So it happened really, really quick. But taking my son, for instance, there's guys that start in go-karts at 5. And, so he got his start really young. He's been 5 years old running the go-karts and things. And now he's turning 10 this week. And so he'll be getting into the Legends cars at 10, where I was 13 when I started in those. So he's got a heck of a head start. So a lot of racing under his belt already.
What are the Legends cars? Sounds like that's like where you start when you're coming up. Can you explain what that is?
It is. Yeah. It's an old, like 1934 Ford Chevy coupe sedan. They're replicas of those cars. So they're like 5/8 scales, so they're a little smaller than those real cars, street cars. And they run on a motorcycle engine, so like a 1200cc Yamaha motorcycle engine. And they go pretty fast. The Brexton's first race at his track that he's going to race at, he's going to be going 85, 89 miles an hour. And only 10 years old doing that already. It's a heck of a start for sure.
Man, that is wild. Obviously, you have favorites growing up. Like, I'll be honest, we don't know a ton about NASCAR, so we're probably going to ask you some very basic questions because I want to learn more about it. But like, who were some of your idols growing up and favorite drivers?
Yeah, I would say, I was just a fan of the sport a lot, just growing up with my dad. My dad was a car guy. He built old, 32 Fords and things, and had a few old cars that he had that he collected and stuff. And, he had to sell one of his in order to be able to pay for my brother's start and my start in racing. So, it was unfortunate to see him have to get rid of one of the cool ones that he built. But, overall, I just worked in the garage on my dad's cars, my brother's cars, and then I just sort of watched racing as a kid growing up. So that's kind of how I got my start. But watching the racing on TV on Sundays, the Cup guys, when I first really began to pull for someone, I guess it was Jeff Gordon, because he was sort of the new guy on the scene. It was 1994, 1995, and he was in the bright colored DuPont rainbow car. And so, I was like, I'm going to cheer for that guy. He's new. I'll stick with the young kid. Me being 9 years old at the time. And then, of course, though, I always enjoyed watching, Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett, all those guys that, were winning races at that time.
Before we get back to our interview with Kyle Busch, let me tell you something. You should do what Scottie Scheffler does. And Scottie Scheffler uses Golf Pride grips. And in golf, the most important moment is just a split second, the moment of impact. That's where the new reverse taper putter grip from Golf Pride makes all the difference. With a larger lower hand, it's designed to stabilize both hands for a more square putter face at impact, no matter your grip style. And now, it's available in small sizes too. Get 20% off a full set, up to 13 swing grips and 1 putter grip at golfpride.com with code SUBPAR20. Offer ends August 31st. Reverse taper, only from Golf Pride. Respect the grip. Now back to Kyle Busch.
You've won in all different types of cars. You've raced all different types of cars. If you had to pick one that's like, this is the most fun, this is the one I enjoy doing the most, what is it?
I like the super late models. So when you grow up at your local short track, local ranks, you run those Legends cars, and then you get into a modified, which is kind of like a full body car, but they take the front fenders off of it. It's a little weird looking, but that's sort of an in-between step. And then you get into the super late models, which is a full body stock car. It looks like a car on the street, but they run on a bias ply tire, which is just a little bit different than what our NASCAR cars are. They call those radial tires. But, you run across all these short tracks across the country. You got 750 horsepower. So a lot of horsepower to the tire. And, you can get these cars out of shape. And there's some cool things that you can do with the suspension and things like that to make grip. And so those have always been my favorite car to drive.
Awesome. I like that a lot. Tell me this. Golfers, they obviously have their routines where they show up to the golf course 2 hours before, get their physio going. They get on the range for an hour, and then they go out and play. For race car drivers, what's the lead up like before a race?
It's kind of all week, I would say we're a little bit similar to the football players. We don't really go out on the field and practice. We don't go out on the track and test much. Testing's kind of limited. That obviously costs a ton of money to get the car to the track and all that sort of stuff, pay for tires, pay for fuel, people, everything. But we do a lot of simulation. So we run in the simulator a lot, and we're doing a lot of that. We watch video, past races. You study film of how the past races have kind of gone, how they've kind of worked out, what made the good guys good at what they were doing. And then we also have this newer technology that's come out the past few years, I think since 2018, which it's called SMT, but it's like a ghost car overlay it's on the computer, and you can take anybody's car in the field, and it's all kind of like GPS driven, but there's also telemetry on the cars with throttle trace, braking trace, steering trace, and all that. And so you can overlay yourself and what you're doing compared to others that are on the racetrack at the same time or different time, and you can go back and look at that stuff too. So there's a lot of review in the SMT data that we do. And then, that's all through the week. You pick your times through the week on how it best works for your life. And then when you get to the racetrack, typically on Saturdays, you'll have a 20-minute practice. That's it. We show up to the racetrack, and you go to the garage area, you get in your fire suit, and you go on the racetrack. You have 20 minutes of practice, and then you make subtle changes to your cars, whatever you're allowed to do on pit road by NASCAR rules. And you go out and you qualify. And qualifying kind of lines you up for your starting position for the race. And then that's it for Saturday. And then Sunday you come in and you're doing hospitality visits for your sponsors and fans and guests of the weekend, things like that. And then you go race. And that's pretty much it, So it seems like a real condensed schedule for a lot of the sport in which we are. But years ago in the past, I would run truck races, Xfinity Series races, Cup Series races, and you'd have 2 hours of practice in every single one of those cars, and then you'd have qualifying in every single one of those cars. So your track time, man, by the time you started the Cup Series race, you had 8 hours, 9 hours on track before you ran the Cup race. Now you have 20 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing all this stuff. I want to ask you, like, in golf, there's certain courses, they call it courses for horses for courses, right? Like a certain course suits a guy. And what you do, are there certain
one track jack? That's what we call it.
Is that what they call it?
Okay.
Oh, okay, one. There you go. I knew there had to be a saying. But are there like certain setups that suit you better than other ones that you kind of highlight each year?
I would say for me, I have favorite tracks. Bristol's one of my favorite tracks. Love going there. Love going to Vegas. That's my home track. That's fun. The Phoenix track is a fun track. It's a short track. It's tough to pass on it, but the area and everything being out west, being from Vegas, I enjoy being out there for that one. There's been some racetracks over the years, though, that I've not been very good at, that I've kind of sucked at, that have been at the bottom of the barrel. And then I put an extra emphasis of like, why am I not good here? I got to fix this. I got to be good everywhere, And so I put extra emphasis on those. And then they start climbing the ladder of your favorite racetracks as well, too. Pocono, for instance, like, man, I was terrible there. And then about 2014, 15, I started to figure it out and really got good. And I think I won 4, 5, 6 races there in the next 4 years. So that turned out to be a pretty good place for me.
You mentioned you get 20 minutes of practice and you make some little tweaks to your car here and there before the actual race. Like, is there ever on Sunday when the race is getting ready to go and you're like, this car is nowhere near where I want it to be?
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of times, back in the day when we would have 2 hours of practice, you were coming into the garage area, guys would jack up your car, they would put it on scales, you would change springs, you would change sway bars, you would change shocks, you would change anything you wanted to change. You'd go back out and you'd try it again. You would see how it feel, see if the changes that you made helped your car feel the way that you were looking for it to feel to be able to be fast for the race. Now, when you show up, you're doing all of those things on the simulator. And so sometimes the simulator isn't exactly what real life is. And so you try to make it as close as you possibly can, and you would hope that it's perfect, but not always is it. And so, for instance, earlier this year, we went to COTA, Circuit of the Americas down in Austin, Texas. And everybody was relying on the simulator, obviously, for not a lot of practice time, but the simulator was way off for everyone. It was whatever, it was the tire model or the grip level, whatever. And we were terrible. Like, we were 28th on the speed chart. I'm like, this thing drives horrible, guys. Like, we slung everything we could possibly swing at that thing on the changes that we were allowed to make on pit road there, working on the car. And we made it better. We got it to qualify 8th. And then that race, I led the most laps, was in position to win late in the race. And the guy behind me, he had 3 lap fresher tires than me and was able to get by me, So we didn't win, but that was our best race of the year. And, it's just times that you don't unload perfect, but you make the swings at it in order to make it perfect.
Talk to me a little bit about these pit crews. A, how many guys are on your crew? And B, is there like a ranking, like, hey, I got the best tire guy or I got the best gas guy? Like, is there kind of a pecking order in terms of like who's the best, who has the best crew?
Yeah, so the pit crew, we call them the B team. They're, I don't know if they're your offense or your special teams or your defense. Really, they're your defense, because when you come down pit road and you're sitting still, you want to have them holding court and holding service on your car to get you out of the pits first, right? But anyways, you've got a tire changer on the front, a tire changer on the rear. You've got one tire carrier that kind of helps out the front guy, and then the jack man who helps out changing the tire on the rear guy. So, and then the fuel guy. So there's 5 guys that go over the wall for each pit stop. So they're all pretty important. Obviously, the changers are important, but not as much as they used to be. So it used to be you had to hit 5 lug nuts in order to change a tire. Now there's only 1 lug nut. It's a single lug. And so you just, you take it off, put it back on. And so the jack man has become the most important guy, because his time in which it takes for him to run around the car, jack up the car, and then let it down and run back around the car to jack up the car, that time is got to be the shortest time, because that's the longest duration that nothing's happening on the car. So he's probably the star right now.
Man,
Jack man.
So much going on. I had no idea about it. It's for you. You've been doing this for 100 years. You've won so many times. Do you still get nervous before races, or do the nerves come like late in the race when you have a chance to win?
Not really. I mean, Not really, not before the race. No. I mean, when you're in races and you're winning all the time, those nerves, you settle those nerves, you learn how to deal with those, and you just do your deal, and you're in the zone, But I would say lately, the last couple of years, I've choked away 2 or 3 races because I haven't been winning as much on a regular basis. And so you put so much emphasis on yourself of like, I got to be perfect. I got to be perfect. I got to do this. I got to hit it right and everything. And you end up making a mistake, and that mistake costs you, So I would say that I'm not really nervous per se, but you do feel that ramp up of tension, or wanting to be the best and wanting to get that win, and you make mistakes when you're tensed up.
Sometimes when I turn on like Sports Center or whatever, they'll be showing the highlights, and they're like, every so often there's a crash, and like I see it and I'm like, oh my God, like, and then they'll say this, don't worry, everything's okay. He walked away, he's fine. But like, how many of those have you been in, and what's the scariest like crash or safety situation you've had in your career?
Yeah, 2015 for me, Daytona. It was an Xfinity Series race, so the day before the Cup Series race, day before the Daytona 500. I was racing in that race, and I made a move with my teammate. It was about 8 laps to go. My teammate was in front of me. I saw a hole through the middle. We're in the pack. We're drafting, so it's a drafting track at Daytona. And I was bumping him a little bit to kind of push him ahead and shove him. You're bump drafting at 200 miles an hour, so don't try that on the highway. But I bumped him a little bit, got him crossed up and sideways, and I tried to go around him, and the air from his car, he never even touched me, but the air from his car hit my car wrong and spun me out. And so I spun into the infield, and there's an inside retaining wall, and I hit that at 90 miles an hour, 90 G's, and I broke my left foot and broke my right leg in that crash. And so that one hurt. That one didn't feel very good. So I was out for 11 weeks, not able to race, going through rehab and all that sort of stuff to get back ready to go again, and fixed up and repaired with the doctors. And fortunately, I was able to come back, and 5 weeks after I came back, I was able to win again. We went on a stretch of like, I don't know, I think 10 races, top 5s every race. I mean, we were just knocking them down. I mean, the guys, my cars were super fast. Guys were doing a great job and getting me to the front. And then we ended up winning the championship that year. So 2015 was my first championship in the NASCAR Cup Series, and so that was pretty awesome.
Wow. Sleaze, let's go drafting at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, dude. I don't know how this shit doesn't happen more often. Let me ask you this, though, just as a follow-up to that, because you said that time there's the air hit your car, and that's what spun you out. Sometimes it's other drivers, and they hit you and run into you. What happens after that where you, like, could legitimately die? I got to imagine after a race, there's some, like, road rage or some fighting or some words being had. This happens, like, fairly regularly.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it kind of depends. Some guys that get into you, it's an accident. You're racing 3 wide, 4 wide, whatever, and there's just not enough room, and guys hit each other, mistakenly. But, there's times too where you're racing with a guy and he might get tired of you, or you get tired of him, and you're just like, get the hell out of here, and you hit him, on purpose and make it look like an accident, but you didn't really mean to make it look like an accident. You were like, just get the hell out of here. And so after those races, or after those instances, yeah, you'll throw down sometimes. I've done that a couple times. So yeah.
I saw a couple this morning on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're prepping for the call. That's right.
Yeah.
So,
I liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's not an accident, a pure accident, then you're going to want to get down in that guy's face.
Before we get back to Kyle Busch, a quick message from our folks over at Shipsticks. If you're going on a golf trip, there's only one way to do it, and that's with Shipsticks. Colt, I got my sticks are up at Plainfield. I'm putting them on the slow smoker home. They don't deserve, you know what I mean? I was going to tuck them in first class if everything went right. Now I'm sitting them in coach, throwing them back there, but they will be going with Shipsticks. Where you got yours going next? Probably somewhere nice.
Fort Worth, home of the Horned Frogs.
Home of the Frogs. What could be better than that? If you're going on a golf trip,
well,
you're
my
going
SMU
anywhere.
bag, they're going to love
With your
it.
SMU bag? I actually hope they lose this one, which they won't because they're spectacular. But if you're going on a trip, you're going to ship your clubs, your luggage. It takes 2 seconds. You schedule the pickup, stick on the label. You're done. Your gear shows up right where you need it. No dragging bags, no extra stress. Hands down, the easiest way to travel with your clubs. Premium, hassle-free, totally reliable. And right now, Shipsticks is offering our listeners 20% off your first shipment when you go to shipsticks.com and use the code Subpar20. Go to shipsticks.com, use the code Subpar20 to get 20% off your first shipment and save yourself the hassle this golf season. That's SHIPSTICKS.com. Make sure you use the code SUBPAR20 so they know we sent you. Now, back to Kyle Busch.
What makes, like, obviously, we just use golf as an example all the time, but you see this young kid coming up and you're like, damn, I mean, this guy, he's got it. Like, he smashes it. He's got all the tools. For a driver, like, how do you know that, hey, this guy's really good?
Yeah, I mean, I owned my own truck series team for a long time, for 12 years. So, we were always looking for up and coming young talent because we're sort of a feeder series in the truck series. And so, you're looking for guys that have talent, that anything they get in, they can take it to the front, they can run up front, they can win races. Anything that they get in, they win in those cars and things like that. So, it's all about racecraft. A lot of times for me, I look at guys that can carry themselves well, both on and off the racetrack, but they win races the right way. They're not just knocking people out of the way and getting wins because they're hitting people. They're doing it cleanly and making clean moves and winning races based off their skill. And so those are sort of the things that you look for. A lot of times now, like, yeah, there's guys that get here that pay their way here. They've got money behind them, or their family's got money or whatever, and they just want to be a race car driver. And so they pay their way to the top, and you can do that. I mean, do they win all the time? No. I would say one of those situations, William Byron, for instance, he had a sponsor, his dad helped him and funded him and stuff like that. But everything he got in, he was talented. He worked at it. He was very smart and diligent at it, and did a great job of being able to understand the vehicles and how to make himself successful in those vehicles. And he won his way all the way to the top. And now he's in NASCAR being paid to race, and he's not worried about, he doesn't need, daddy's money to keep him there anymore. He's just good at what he does. So there's different ways of guys to make it in our sport.
What would it cost somebody? You said guys can just kind of buy their way in. Like, what's it cost to subsidize a race car, a driver, a team for a year?
I would say Cup Series is probably around, if you got $6 to $8 million, you can get a Cup seat. Xfinity Series ride, if you've got between $4.5 to $6 million, you can be in an Xfinity Series car. And to run a truck, you probably need about $3 million to run a truck.
Damn, I thought golf was expensive.
Let's get a squad, Colt.
No, racing is by far the most expensive thing. Trust me, by far.
Wow. Speaking of golf, do you play any at all?
I wish I did. I play a little bit here and there, but I'm definitely not playing often enough to be as good as I want to be. So that's definitely my retirement plan. I'm going on the senior tour.
Okay.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
How long can you race? Like, what's the age where guys typically shut it down?
I would say anywhere between 43, 44 to probably 46, 47. So let's just say 45 years old is about the number where guys are shutting it down. There's been guys that have been older, but they were guys from more years ago that they didn't start racing until they were in their late 20s or 30s. And so they then carried that into their 50s. Mark Martin, for instance, he was one who, I think he raced until he was 53 and then finally hung it up. And he was winning races in his 50s, he was a badass. So I would say that today's guys, like I know Harvick just retired. I think he was 45. Truex just retired. I think he was 44. Tony Stewart a couple years ago, he was probably 45. Dale Jr. was around 43. So yeah.
All right. You just turned 40, didn't you?
I just turned 40. Yeah.
Congrats.
So drivers primes though. What's crazy about NASCAR drivers primes is like 37 to 43. So, somewhere in there, and it's not long after you turn 43 that, you kind of don't win as much anymore. And it's like, oh, well, maybe I can hang it up. Maybe I just don't need to be running out here anymore, So I just turned 40 though. And I feel fine. I see fine. I'm not sore. My body's not kicked after I get out of a race on Sundays, so I feel like I'm still good.
I do it great. You're killing it. You're killing it. All right, let's get to E9 here, Sleeves. We'll mix it up a little bit. Let's say you can be anything else in life other than a NASCAR driver. What would you be?
I don't know. It's a tough question. I can go two routes. One is when I was a kid and I was playing Little League ball, I was playing, baseball as a kid, having fun doing that. And then I was playing Little League ball and my racing started to pick up. So around that 13 years old, and I had an opportunity I got a zone variance to go to a different high school than what I was supposed to go to because my mom worked there. Well, you're not allowed to play high school sports if you get a zone variance for the first year because they look at it as like recruiting. And so I was kind of like, okay, since I can't play high school ball, then I'll just go focus on the racing thing and see how the racing thing turns out for a couple of years. And if it doesn't work, then I'll come back to ball, and never really needed to come back to ball. So that's one route. And then the other thing probably would have been to just continue on in school a little bit and become an engineer and be working on cars, being a crew chief or an engineer or something like that for a race team.
God, think what a good ball player you could have been. Things could have really worked out for you, Kyle.
I know. I'm jealous of Bryce Harper. That's for sure. I wish I would have gone that route.
All right, I'll give you one here. I've always wanted to ask this to a race car driver because I think about it all the time. And I'll just phrase it like this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how frustrating or miserable is it for you when you drive your car on like a straight highway, 70 mile an hour speed limit? Like, is that just excruciating for you given that you're used to going 200?
No, because, you go with the flow of traffic. Honest, like we're racing at 200 miles an hour, but everybody else is at like 200.2 or 199.8. Like we're all within a half a mile an hour or a mile an hour of each other all the time. So you're going within the speed of traffic. So it really doesn't feel fast until you crash. So like when you're on the highway, like if your speed limit is 70, I'm setting the cruise at 75 and I'm rolling, like I'm not one that needs to go 80, 90, 100 miles an hour and zooming in and out of cars and through traffic.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I was always interested in that. I was like, that has to be miserable, but that makes sense.
I mean, there's times where you're rolling, and it's, again, 70 mile an hour speed zone and somebody in the fast lane is going 65. It's like, what are you doing? Get out of the way.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. There's a story of Richard Petty years ago, a long time ago. I think he was driving home after a race or something, or just driving somewhere in North Carolina, and there was a slow car in his way on a 2-lane road, and the guy wasn't going the speed limit and was like mad that he was tailgating him or something like that. And so he was slowing down or brake checking him or whatever. So Richard Petty just went up behind him and rammed him and spun him off the road and just kept going, So,
whoa. Yeah. All right.
We got to start trying
stuff
that.
You could probably get away with in the 60s or 70s. I don't think you can get away with that today.
I was going to say, does that work? Damn.
I wish it did. I'm just going to get me a hoopty and do it.
Yeah.
Richard Petty gets a little mention in one of the new Morgan Wallen songs.
Oh, is that right? Sick. Good.
Yeah.
All right. I haven't checked that out yet. I got to find that.
Before we get back to Kyle Busch, a quick word from Enterprise. The road to opportunity is often the road overlooked. That's why Enterprise Mobility offers new roads to help drive your business forward. With mobility solutions like fleet management, flexible truck rental, and an unmatched global network, they can help your business find the right solutions. Their mobility experts can find smarter ways to scale your business so you're not just growing bigger, you're getting bigger. The more ways we all have to move forward, the further we'll all go. Find your road at enterprisemobility.com. Now, back to Kyle Busch.
All right, you might be able to answer this. You might just choose not to, but I don't know. But like for players and caddies, like it's public knowledge, like caddies get 7% of a made cut, 10% of a win. How does it work with the pit crew?
So the pit crews get bonuses, the pit crews. And then we also have like the A team. So the A team is your crew chief, your engineer, your 2 mechanics that you have, your tire guy, your car chief. So those 6 guys travel with the car. When the car goes to the racetrack, they take it through inspections. They're the ones that you're working with to make it faster through practice and qualifying and all that. And then the B team, which is the pit crew, they show up on Sundays or race day and they pit stop the car. So all those people, though, they have special bonuses in their contract and stuff like that for wins or top 5s or top 10s or how well you do at the end of the year if there's end of the year bonuses.
All right.
Let me know if you need a good jack man, Kyle. I've been jacking. I've been jacking for a lot of years now. I'm 40. I'm a man just like you.
You're probably too old.
Damn. Oh. I don't know, dude. You haven't seen me jack.
All right, let's see you run around the car. I need you to
these skinny legs
thing,
move
slide
fast.
across the hood.
I could do that. You just keep my number just in case. All right, next one. A lot of nicknames you have, right, that I've found. We got Rowdy, Wild Thing, the Candy Man, and Shrub. So I need to know which one's your favorite and who gave it to you.
I would say Rowdy's my favorite, and the story behind that is obviously Days of Thunder. So I love the movie Days of Thunder. Rowdy Burns is one of the main characters in there. And so, Rowdy, my character, myself, when I was on the racetrack as a kid, not as a kid, but like when I got to NASCAR growing up, whatever, all that sort of stuff, I wasn't really doing things by the book. I was sort of doing things my own way. And making my own name for myself and causing a little bit of crazy and havoc on the way there. So hence the name Rowdy. And then also I was running in the truck series for a guy who owned a truck, and his main truck that he had was number 15. And so he was going to come out with a second truck so I could run alongside the guy that he hired full time. So I was going to run a part-time truck with him. And he's like, well, what number do you want? And I was like, well, just take 15, flip it backwards, and it'll be 51. We'll make it look like the Rowdy Burns car from the movie Days of Thunder, all black and everything, and I'll be Rowdy, you know? And so we just kind of went with that, and, kind of stuck since then. But all those other nicknames just kind of came through from, well, the Shrub was, so my dad is obviously Tom Busch, so he's like the big Bush. And then my brother was, or they called him the Tree, I guess, because he's tall and lanky. And then my brother was just, Kurt Busch. He was the first Busch in NASCAR. And then so they called me Shrub, just being the smaller Busch coming up through. So that was that one. And then Wild Thing, again, back to some of those crazy ways of racing and making moves and going from the top to the bottom in one move and passing guys 3 wide and taking leads. And I got the Wild Thing from that. And then the Candyman obviously just came from my sponsorship from M&M's and being with those guys for so many years and driving the M&M's car.
All right, regular peanut or peanut butter M&M's?
I'll go with the peanut guy.
Okay.
I'll be the yellow peanut. Although my favorite is crispy. So crispy's the green wrapper.
Okay.
Classy.
Perfect. All right. Well, in football, you got Lambeau Field, baseball, Fenway Park, golf, we'll say Augusta National. What racetrack would go on that list?
So that's like our crown jewel events. And so the Daytona 500 is number one. That's the number one big crown jewel event. And then arguably I would say number 2 on that list is probably the Coca-Cola 600, which is at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's the longest race of the year. It's a ring race, so you win that race and the track gives you a ring. The Brickyard 400, that's another ring race track. That's a big crown jewel event. And then the Fall Talladega race for years was always on that list as well, too, as sort of a crown jewel. Back in the late 90s, Winston was the sponsor of the Winston Cup Series, and they had 5 races. If you won 4 of 5 races, you got $1 million bonus for winning all of those races. So I think Darlington, the Southern 500 was also on that. So those were the 5: Daytona, Coke 600, Brickyard, Talladega, and Darlington. Those were the 5 tracks that if you won those tracks, you could get that $1 million bonus. So that was really cool to have that back in the day.
And Brickyard's actually got a few golf holes in the middle of the track. I've played there.
I played that beast.
Half the course is on the inside. That's right.
I played that beast. It's crazy how big that track is when you get in there. I'm like, I mean, it's mind blowing.
I'm glad they don't let golf happen, because you guys being on the golf course while the cars were going, I bound and determined we'd get hit by a ball.
Yep.
You would. You definitely would. Some of mine. All right, you answered one of mine there about some candy. I'll give you this one. I know you're a bit of a gamer. I read you like games. Give me the best race car video game of all time. Any system.
Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's
Mario
your guy?
Kart. Super Nintendo Mario Kart.
Who's your guy?
Yoshi, always.
Good player. Yoshi,
Yep.
Formidable.
Yep.
Formidable racer.
Yeah. Bowser's not bad. He just takes a little while to get going, but you better keep his momentum rolling. He's all right too. He'll knock Yoshi out of the way. So
you run into something with Bowser though, you got stress. You get passed by everybody.
That's right.
Well, 3 of us last year got to spend some time, as we mentioned, out in the sand rolls with our friends over at Zone Nicotine. By the way, the long video, the full-length video is coming out soon. But when we first walked up, we never met each other before. And you saw both of us standing there. Which one did you think would puke first?
Probably you.
Yeah, I figured so.
Probably you.
Yeah, but I'm a professional. Okay, I know how to hold my booze.
I should. Yeah, I could have thought that. I could have thought that either way, So I'm glad you did, though. So very, very good job. You enjoyed it. You had fun. You liked it. You wanted to go again.
I loved it. I liked it way more than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to be terrified, which it was. My favorite part was when we were going up and you see nothing but the sky. And I said, what happens if another thing's coming over the side? And you go, we're fucked. I'm like, oh, cool.
That's good news.
This is comforting.
And then it about happened.
Yeah. God.
There was 8 other people out there, and all of a sudden, boom, one here comes. So we had to dodge and get out of the way.
God,
that was great.
Towards the end of that deal, I was just like, my whole thought was just don't puke. I was making it fine, and then we started bouncing around a little bit more, dude. I had the helmet on in that nice buggy, whatever you call it. I was like, I'm a fucking puke, and there's a GoPro 6 inches from my face. I was like, this is gonna be the worst thing ever. I was just proud I made it out of that car. And
it's kind of like
saved it till
going.
later.
It's kind of like going deep sea fishing. Like you put it in your mind, and then it's stuck in your mind, and you know it's going to happen, and you just like it's a mental game. You should never have thought about it the entire time. You probably would have been all right.
I was doing fine until the end, and I remember you looking over like, you all right? You gonna puke? And I was like, oh, dude, I'm fine. Everything's good. This is a great time. But meanwhile, I was like, you got to park this bitch quick. I'm about 30 seconds from yakking. All right, my last one.
Have you bought your own sand rail then? Are you guys on your own cars now?
Well, I don't know if we've graduated to that just yet.
Okay.
That's probably coming.
You might do better driving than being in the passenger. I'm not a very good passenger, so I don't know if that would bode well for me. I'm definitely not riding with either one of you, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't think we'd get over about 40, so you'd probably be okay in that regard. All right, my last question. I'm gonna just make this up here. The movie Talladega Nights, Will Ferrell's character in that movie. Give me one guy on NASCAR that most resembles Will Ferrell's character in that movie.
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby.
I would say a little bit of Noah Gragson, probably. He's a little bit of the, not necessarily the class clown, but he likes to have a good time, and he's very, spirited and just gives zero shits about what others think of him. And, he wears his fire suit unzipped and open chest and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So he's probably a little bit of that, but, yeah, I'd go with Noah.
I'm pretty sure I met him at a Cole Swindell concert. He lives in Vegas, right?
He's from Vegas too. Yeah.
Yeah, I met him at a Cole Swindell concert in Scottsdale.
Okay, that makes sense.
I like it. That's good.
I bet you he was having a good time.
We were. Yes. There was a good time being had. All right, last one. This is a total compliment, but every time you see a driver win a race, you're going down victory lane, they always have a rather attractive wife or girlfriend next to him. Would you say among all the athletes, the race car drivers, the NASCAR drivers, have the hottest wives and girlfriends?
Good question.
I've never seen a bad one.
Well, see, I'm not supposed to be looking at other people's wives or anything like that, so I don't know. That's a hard question for me to answer. I will answer, though, that mine is definitely the hottest out there, So I'm going to give her the props where props are due, where she busts her ass every day in the gym, and fortunately enough, I was able to wrap her up and have her by my side each and every day. And now we've got 2 beautiful kids too. So, I'm blessed with where I'm at.
Hell yeah. Props to her. Love that.
That's
Very media savvy of you there, Kyle. Well done. Well done.
Speaking of media savvy, I was watching this little clip. It had like a 5-minute video of your best quotes. And I was going to ask if you and Marshawn Lynch went to the same media school, media training.
We did actually. Yeah. So, I don't remember what it was called, but, Lynch School of Charm. So yeah, we definitely had some of the same courses and same materials and things like that. And what was actually cool too was, I don't remember if it was before, it must have been before. I think it was before that clip that you saw. I actually met him. He came out to one of the races. He was a guest of Skittles. Skittles and M&Ms are the same company. And so Skittles was on my car. And so they guested him out to the track. And so we hung out for a minute. We talked for a little bit, and we exchanged helmets. So he's got a Skittles helmet, and I've got old Seahawk helmet. I asked him for a Seahawk helmet because I'm a huge Broncos guy. I'm a huge Broncos fan. So, of course, I was there at the Super Bowl where the Seahawks stomped the Broncos into the ground. So I was like, I got to have one from a Super Bowl champion of when you guys beat my Broncos. So he gave me one.
What was your line? Every question was just like, I'm excited to be here. It's good to be in Phoenix.
Yeah, it's good to be back in my race car. Can't wait to get on the track and get everything going. Everything's great.
Everything's great. I love it.
We made a T-shirt out of that as well, too, for charity. We actually sold like $40,000 of T-shirts for that one. So that was really good. All to the Bundle of Joy Fund. My wife and I have a charity that help other couples that are going through infertility. So her and I, we had issues being able to have our children, but we went through IVF. And so now we have the Bundle of Joy Fund, which we help raise money, raise awareness, and everything else in order to help other couples, because the expense is like 20, 25 grand to go through one try of being able to have a kid, and it's not even a guarantee. So we know it's expensive and not for regular people. So we try to help others to be able to go through that in order to have their own bundle of joy. So we've raised $2 million, and we're up over 120 something babies born. So it's going real good.
Good
That
for
is
you.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear. But
Yeah,
Kyle,
we
man,
turned the negative into a positive, so that's what we're here for.
Amen.
that's right.
Amen.
Well, it was fun catching up with you again. The shoot we did for Zone out in the desert was fantastic, but awesome to sit down with you and learn a lot more about racing.
Absolutely, no problem. And hey, I look forward to coming back out to Phoenix later this year. Maybe we get a tee time set up. Let's go hit some balls.
Here we
got
go.
it. Love to.
Now you're talking.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right,
you, Kyle.
sounds good.
All right, Kyle. Thank you.
All right, that was Kyle Busch joining us on Golf Subpar. A lot of fun, Sleaze. It's very obvious we don't know shit about NASCAR, but I learned a lot from Kyle. A lot of fun catching up with him once again after our time out in the sand rails. And also, you asked the question about who would best play Ricky Bobby, and he mentioned Noah Gragson, who I said I met at the Cole Swindell concert. We filmed that on what? Was that Tuesday or Wednesday last week? We filmed that, I believe Wednesday, Tuesday. It doesn't matter. Filmed it last week. Hadn't seen this guy in quite some time. I am on the 6th hole at Quail Hollow, behind the green. I get a slap on the leg. There he is. He's got a special inside the ropes pass, and he's sitting on the ground. Noah Gragson's right there. And he's like, "What up, dude?" I was like, "Oh, my God." I was like, "You just got mentioned on our podcast earlier. It's great." He's like, "Why?" And I told him, and he's like, "That's beautiful. I love it."
Well, that's wild because also I get here first night up in New Jersey, turn on the TV, it's shit hotel TV as usual. I go to the movie channel. What's on? I didn't watch it in 8 years.
Oh,
Talladega Nights, and I was like, boom,
so good.
watching it. Yeah,
So good.
so good, so good. So yeah, they're listening.
They are listening. Everyone's always listening. It's going to pop up on your Instagram feed now. They're going to sell you NASCAR tickets. But a lot of fun sitting down with Kyle. Special thanks to Zone for all they do. They have been just absolutely awesome. And by the way, Sleaze, I'm home in Scottsdale, and it's heating up out here. And so is the gear. I just grabbed a few custom tees with our Birdie Juice logo. Super easy to order, and they turned out great. Now it's your turn. Head to shop.golf.com and build your own lineup. Pick your favorite logo, choose from polos, hats, hoodies, and more, all from the brands you already love. It's totally customizable and takes just a few clicks. Don't wait. Hit up shop.golf.com and gear up for summer. Sleaze, go get you some stuff.
Get you some polos, get you little lightweight hoodies, heavyweight hoodies, whatever you need, tumblers. Good time.
We got it. We got it all. Go get it. All right, Sleaze. Once again, thanks to Zone for all that they do.
The best in the business. Got one in the grill right now as we speak, but also warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Underage sale is prohibited. Introducing Zone Nicotine pouches, the perfect balance of unparalleled comfort, longer lasting flavor, and nicotine that satisfies. Whether you're zoning in for an important putt or zoning out after a tough day at work, Zone gets you there faster and keeps you there longer. Available in 7 flavors and in 6 and 9 milligram strengths. Find Zone at zonepouches.com and retailers near you. Own your zone with Zone Nicotine pouches.
All right, my man. Well, get home safe. A lot of fun. Good run by you and Kitty. Once again, congratulations to Scottie Scheffler on his 3rd major championship. That's going to do it for us. We'll talk to you on next week's Subpar.